In writing, an argument is a paper grounded on logical, structured evidence that attempts to convince the reader to accept an opinion, take some action, or do both. It is also a process during which you explore an issue fully, considering different perspectives, assumptions, reasons, and evidence to reach your own informed position. The rational appeal. To convince readers, your reasons must be sustained by evidence. When you appeal to reason in an argument, then you present your reasons and evidence in such a way that if your readers are also reasonable, they will likely agree with you. Evidence falls into several categories: established truths, opinions of authorities, primary source information, statistical findings, and personal experiences. Established truths. These are facts that no one can seriously dispute. Established truths aren't arguable themselves, but do provide strong backup for argumentative propositions. Here are some examples. Opinions of authorities. An authority is a recognized expert in some field. Authoritative opinions play a powerful role in winning readers over to your side. Unless the opinion can stand especially close to scrutiny, don't put it in your paper. It will just weaken your case with perceptive readers. Because authorities don't always see eye to eye, their views lack the finality of established truth. Primary source information. A primary source is a document or other material produced by individuals directly involved with the issue or conclusions you reached by carrying out an investigation yourself. An example would be interviewing a soldier who fought in World War II for a project about World War II. Statistical findings. Statistics are data showing how much, how many, or how often. Because statistics are often misused, many people distrust them, so any offer must be reliable. Take care not to push statistical claims too far. Keep alert for biased statistics. They can cause as serious a credibility gap as biased opinions. Personal experience. Often the experiences and observations of others can support your position. Providing information about a personal experience can provide the persuasive nudge that wins your reader over. Despite its usefulness, personal experience generally reinforces but does not replace other kinds of evidence. Evaluation of evidence. You must evaluate the credibility and the persuasive potential of all the evidence you present in your writing. Some questions to ask are: how credible are the sources of information? And how reliable is the evidence? How much confirming evidence is there? How much contradictory evidence is there? How well established is the evidence? How well does it support or fit the claim? And what does the evidence allow you to conclude? Reasoning strategies. Rational appeals include 3 reasoning strategies: induction, deduction, and analogy. Induction. An argument from induction occurs when a general claim is supported by specific evidence. Induction makes our conclusions probable, but rarely proves them. To prove something by induction, we must check every bit of evidence and check it often, so that it's just not practical or possible. All inductive evidence only makes supported conclusions likely. When writing an induction argument, you should demonstrate the credibility of your evidence and show how the evidence fits the conclusion that you want to reach. Deduction. Deduction is a process of argumentation that demonstrates how a specific conclusion follows logically from some initial premises about which people might agree. When arguing from deduction, you need to make clear how your conclusions do actually follow from the agreed upon premises. Those premises may also be questionable and need support, whether by induction or by demonstrating their deductive relationship to other strongly held ideas. A common and powerful form of deduction is called reductio ad absurdum, which in Latin means to reduce to absurdity. It is used to question a position by showing that its consequences are problematic if carried to their logical end. Syllogism. A syllogism is a set of 3 statements that follow a fixed pattern to ensure sound reasoning. The first statement is called the major premise. It names a category of things and says that all or none of them share a certain characteristic. The minor premise notes that a thing or group of things belong to that category. The conclusion states that the thing or group shares the characteristics of the category. syllogism can occur anywhere in an essay. It can occur in the introduction to set the stage for the evidence, at various places in the body, even in the conclusion in order to pull the argument together. Avoiding misuse of syllogisms. Make sure any syllogism you use follows the proper logical order. Make sure the premise of your syllogism is in fact true. An analogy compares two unlike situations or things. Because its conclusions about one thing rest upon observations about some different thing, analogy is the weakest form of rational appeal. Analogies don't prove anything. They often help explain and show probability and therefore are quite persuasive. For an analogy to be useful, it must feature significant similarities that bear directly on the issue. It must also account for any significant differences between the two items. The emotional appeal. Emotion can win the hearts and the help of people who would otherwise passively accept the logical argument but take no action. To develop an effective emotional appeal, identify the stories, scenes, or events of the topic that arouse the strongest emotional response within you. The image that the writer projects is called the ethical appeal. If you write with a genuine concern for your topic, a commitment to the truth, and a sincere respect for others, you will probably come across reasonably well. Make sure snide comments and bitter remarks don't slip into your writing. Ferreting out fallacies. Fallacies are lapses in logic that reflect upon your ability to think clearly and therefore weaken your argument. Hasty generalization. This results when someone bases a conclusion on too little evidence. For example, Charlie doesn't know how to drive, doesn't even have a license. Charlie may actually know how to drive, but he just has not chosen to get his license yet. Non sequitur. In Latin, it stands for "it does not follow." The non sequitur fallacy draws unwarranted conclusions and seemingly ample evidence. Stereotyping. Stereotyping is attaching one or more supposed characteristics to a group or one of its members. Card stacking. This involves the writer presenting only part of the available evidence on a topic, deliberately omitting essential information that would alter the picture considerably. Either or fallacy. This asserts that only two choices exist, when in fact several options are possible. Not all either or statements are fallacies. Example: buy these tires or you'll get stuck in the snow. You may not get stuck in the snow by not buying these tires. So this is a great example of an either or fallacy. Begging the question. The person who begs a question asserts the truth of some unproved statement. Circular argument. This supports the position merely by restating it. For example, Pauline is a good manager because she runs a company effectively. Arguing off the point. This sometimes is called ignoring the question. This occurs when the writer sidetracks an issue by introducing irrelevant information. Argument ad hominem. In Latin, this means to the man. It designates an argument that attacks an individual rather than that individual's opinions or qualifications. Appeal to the crowd. An appeal of this sort arouses an emotional response by playing on the irrational fears and prejudices of the audience. Tapping the emotions of the crowd can sway large groups and win acceptance for positions that the rational thinking would reject. Guilt by association. This fallacy points out some similarity or connection between one person or group and another. It tags the first with the sins, real or imagined, of the second. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. In Latin, this means after this, therefore because of this. It refers to the fallacy of assuming that because one event follows another, the first caused the second. Faulty analogy. This is the error of assuming that two circumstances or things are similar in all important respects, when in fact they are not. Ethical issues. Asking and answering the following questions will help you avoid any breach of ethics. Have I carefully considered the issue I'm arguing and the stance I'm taking? Am I fair to other positions on the issue? Are my reasons and evidence legitimate? Do I use fallacies or other types of faulty thinking to manipulate the reader unfairly? What consequences could follow if readers adopt my position? As you explore your topic, you should be prepared to focus your question. You will have to choose a side. Ask questions to help you figure out ideas for your argument. Do research to find out more information on your topic. You can do research by reading. Use graphic organizers to sort out different positions on the issue. As you investigate the various positions, ask and answer these questions. Consider the purpose of your argument and how that might affect the strategy you choose to employ. Some arguments try to establish that something is a fact. Others defend or oppose some policy. Still, others assert the greater value of someone or something. With an argument, purpose and audience are closely linked. Pose these questions as you proceed. What are the reader's interests, expectations, and needs concerning this issue? What evidence is most likely to convince them? What objections and consequences would probably weigh most heavily? How can I answer these objections? Bulgarian arguments. These are named for psychologist Carl Rogers. They attempt to reduce the antagonism that people with opposing views might feel towards your position. To succeed, you must show that you understand and respect the opposing position as well as acknowledge its good. You can share with your reader how you came to your conclusion. This form of discussion allows you to indicate your doubts about your own position, explain why certain reasons and evidence have weight for you, include personal reasons that influence you, and address alternative positions and arguments that may tempt you. Drafting and revising the argument. Read page 224 to 228. These pages give steps and instructions on how to draft and revise your argument. Look out for the bold print of the steps of drafting your argument. Read the sample student essay of argument on page 228 to 234. Look out for the strategies for ferreting fallacies in the writing. Also look out for different types of appeal the student uses. Here are some discussion questions over the sample essay. These are steps one can take in writing an argument.